Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at BTC. This is going to be a low time frame video. We do have our higher time frame video up above, so check that out if you haven't already. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so as we were talking about in the previous video, we're going to go over the main idea that we're looking for here, which is actually looking for this as a bigger flat correction, where we're saying that we have 3 waves to the downside, 3 waves back to the upside here, and we are looking for 5 waves down. The most common target area for this as a flat is this at 25,360 to this 23,646 level. So we're still looking for the possibility that this could actually look to push down a little bit more here. Now, if we do look to push down lower here, there are some alternatives where we could argue that we actually complete into this high over here, and we could be starting this move as a bigger A, B, and a C pattern. But at the moment, what I'm looking for is actually for this C wave to complete and then see how we react from that point. Now, if we do look to complete this C wave down in this target box area, what I will be looking out for here on the bigger picture is the potential of seeing a bigger corrective structure where we could actually see something more along these lines, where this whole move here actually just becomes an A wave. We look for a 3-wave move to the upside, either into this orange target box area, which would be a typical B wave zone, or alternatively looking at the possibility of seeing a bigger push up here towards this 33,584 to this 31,000 region as a potential zone to look at a bigger overshooting B wave before looking for this C wave to the downside. So we need to just be a little bit respectful of this idea that we could still see a sweep up and then a sweep to the downside. It's going to be key what happens after this completes. 3 waves up could indicate further continuation to the downside, though really until we start taking these highs here, we need to just be careful of the more bearish situation where we could look to actually just directly push to the downside. So within this idea of this being a push to the downside in a 5-wave pattern, the way that I'm currently looking at it, we're going to come back down here into the 4 hourly, is saying that effectively this move here is 1, 2, 3, this is a 4, and then we're looking for this 5th wave. Now, there's a couple of things here that I'm just being mindful of. We do have what seems to be a completed move here as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we need to just respect that we can count this as a completed move. This would also align with actually meeting the 1-to-1 of this as a wave 1. So because of that reason, I'm just being mindful that we could actually have some kind of a truncation here. So unless we start to take these lows here, we need to just be a little bit careful that we could actually see some kind of a reversal to the upside. But at the moment, the structure is still looking quite corrective. We're going to go over the idea of a breakout in a little bit, but effectively until we do, we need to just be on the lookout for that possibility of still seeing an additional push down here towards this 24,514 to this 23,495, which would be the most common target area for a wave 5. So we're going to keep an eye on this and see exactly how it develops. Now, within this idea, what we would be saying more locally here, coming into the 1 hourly time frame here, is that we could potentially count this as 1, 2, 3 into this point 4, and then we're looking for this 5th wave. Now, the problem is here that if this move does this A, B, and C, or W, X, and Y, it becomes less likely that this is actually this 4th wave over here, and it becomes more likely that this 4th and 5th actually completed into this low, and then we are either looking to push to the upside off of a corrective move, or alternatively this move over here becomes a wave 2, and then we look for continuation down. So we're going to be discussing that once again in a little bit. But now, following this idea that our 4th wave is already in, now invalidation of this comes by pushing back above this 26,135. Now, currently to the downside, we don't really have good structure for this as a 5-wave move. It is very choppy over here, so it would make more sense that if this is a 5-wave structure, it is not completed. And what I would be looking for is rather something along these lines, where what we would say is that we've had this as a diagonal pattern into here, a flat correction for wave 2 here, and now we're looking for this wave 3 to the downside. Now, the most common target area for wave 3 is this 1.618 here, which is sitting at this 25,121. Now, invalidation of this being a wave 2 would be 26,042. If we do look to push down here, what I would be looking out for is the fact that internally here, we could see some extension where this becomes 1, 2, and then we see a push down here for 3, 4, and 5. And what this would do then is this would then push the 3rd wave lower down into this position. So we need to be on the lookout for this, that if this starts to extend, we could actually look to push beyond this 1.618 Another target area we could potentially look to hit with this then, if this does extend out, could be this 2.618. Or alternatively, what we could find is that if we do get this extension in this way, by the time we get this additional fourth and a fifth, this could actually look to push us down towards this 2.618 area. So we're going to be watching this level if we do continue to see price fail to actually reclaim some of these highs. And in validation of this is moving above this 26,135. If we move back above that, then the likelihood is that we have something else going on here. Now, it is also possible here that if we are, because we are looking for this as a fifth wave to the downside, what we could also argue is that we could be getting something like a diagonal pattern in the last part of this move. Now, the way that you would look at this then is, once again, invalidation is going to be up here on this 26,040. And what we'd say is that this becomes effectively our wave 1. We have this as a wave 2, and we're looking for another zigzag here for a wave 3. Now, with this, I would like to see this move down past this 1-to-1 level here. But we would have to be careful, because if this moves down past the 1-to-1 of the wave 1 area, this would invalidate it. So invalidation for this is actually set here at this 25,282 as a diagonal pattern. So what we'd want to see is a 3-wave move that looks to sweep this wave 1 low here, but not move past this 1-to-1. And then we'd be looking for the possibility of 3 waves up and another 3-wave move to the downside for this 5th wave. So just keeping an eye on this, because it isn't really dropping off or pushing up in any specific way here. It is possible that we could be looking to lazily form this diagonal pattern in this area, where we see something along this, where we see a descending wedge pattern develop here before looking for that move to the upside. Now, if we do look to actually move back up and invalidate this at this 26,135, what could this mean? Now, there's a couple of things this could mean. This could mean that we potentially complete this move into this low, and we're going to see price look to move back up and take these highs, in which case this would be indicating that we're going to see this move starting to trend to the upside. Alternatively, what we need to be careful of here is, until we actually take this 28,142, we need to be very careful of any kind of 3-wave structure which pushes us up into this target box area that we've got here. If we just get this as A, B, and C, and then we just move back up into this zone here, which would be typically between this 26,535 and the 27,443 level, what we could then see is that this move in itself could become another 1-2 here. And what this would mean then is that we could potentially be looking for a much bigger drop here, where we actually look for something like this, where we see a move to the upside in 3 waves, and then we see price looking to drop off in a bigger way, where this becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, this would tie into the possibility of actually having extension up the top end here, where we could then have this as another 1, 2 here. This would all then become 3, we'd get 4, 5, and then we'd have another 4th and a 5th effectively in this way. Now, this would look to push us down past this 20,903. Now, this is going to be a key level, because this is the 1.618 of this move over here. Now, if we do move down past that, then we need to be open to the idea that we've got a bigger 5-wave structure here. If we just see price do this as A, B, and then we get a C wave which moves back down here, and then we see price reverse and take this high, this would then actually just align with a bigger 3-wave pattern, which could be looking to push us down into this zone. But effectively, the orange 5-wave count here is still the same with both of those ideas. So until we actually break back above this 28,142, we need to be a little bit careful of the idea that we could still see a deeper sell-off come in here. It's going to be crucial to see how we react here to the upside. Until we do get some good impulsive structure up, we need to just be careful of these bearish scenarios. Now, another way we were discussing this in the previous video is actually looking at this whole structure from the top end here as a diagonal pattern. Now, what we'd be saying here then is that effectively we have this as ABC for wave 1, this is a wave 2, and what we're looking for is an A, B, and a C to the downside. Now, within this idea, what we'd be looking for is, once again, this rejection area over here is going to be crucial. Invalidation is the high of this point. Until we actually break back above that, we also have the possibility here that we could form this as A, B, and C, and then we look to push down in another 5-wave move, which could look to possibly target out this zone of this 23,448. Now, depending on how high we come here, this would change this target. It would be quite interesting to see a move back up to this golden pocket area, because this would actually align with coming back into this purple trend line here, which would be quite interesting to see. And that would be here towards this 27,125 to this 27,034. This would also look to fill this little bit of an imbalance that we've got in this area. So it would be quite an interesting scenario to see this play out, where we see price looking to push up here and then look to push to the downside, where we could then look for this to develop as a diagonal pattern. So this is looking for a bigger diagonal. The other diagonal that we covered is actually a smaller diagonal within the fifth wave over here. So this is looking at this whole move as a possible diagonal. Now the thing that we'd want to see here is that this would be ABC. We'd see a push to the downside, then we'd see another 3-wave move to the upside, and then finally another 3-wave move to the downside, which could then look to push us down into that lower area that we discussed earlier here, where we're looking for this lower zone here of this 23,646 zone. And this would allow us to move down here in a less aggressive way, but still seeing more downward price action coming in. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on that. Now, we've talked about the bearish scenarios here. Now, what would we be looking for if we've actually completed into this low? So the corrective way of looking at this potential push to the upside here would actually be looking at this in this way, where we say that actually what we have here is A, we're looking for this as a B wave, and now what we're looking for is a C wave up. Now it's possible that this C wave could actually be over here, and that is the end of the move, and we're going to start to break down directly from where we currently are. We also do have that possibility, like I said in the previous idea here, that we have this is A, this is B, this is C. So this is effectively just 1 and 2, or A and B, and then we're looking to break down. Now within this idea though, what I'm looking for is the possibility that this C wave is not complete yet. Now as long as we continue to hold this low here of this 25,373, what we could see is that this C wave could still look to push up one more time here towards this 1-to-1 level here of this 26,173 to this 1,236, which would be here at this 26,366. If we do see price starting to push above this 1.618 level here at this 26,682, we need to be on the lookout for the possibility that this could become 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, where we see a bigger 5-wave structure developing off this low. Now if we do see a 5-wave move off this low, effectively what we'd be looking for is evidence that this is going to find support again above the low. If it does, we can potentially look for either a zigzag or alternatively a bigger impulsive move. So that's what I'm going to be looking out for here. You know, at the moment we are just moving sideways here. We are still within that common rejection area, so we need to be careful that this could just look to fall away. But until it does, we need to also just be looking at the possibility of a break to the upside. Now this would be looking at the idea of effectively having this as a move to the upside, where what we could see here is a 5-wave pattern developing. Now within this idea, what I'm looking for is that this move here could be effectively a wave 1, looking at this as potentially a wave 2, where we could look to actually push back down into this lower target box area here of this 25,625. Losing this zone here of this 25,469 would make this less likely to see this continuation to the upside. So if we see something like this, we see price drop back down into this level, it would be quite interesting, because we do have this little area here sitting between the 0.786 and the 0.854, and this would also be looking to bring us back down into some of these wicks. So it will be quite interesting to see how we react if we do see price move back down here. We could then see a swift reversal to the upside. If we do, what we want to be looking out for here is the possibility of seeing a push up towards this 26,686. Moving up into this zone would then confirm the idea that this has become 1, 2, 3. And then we need to see evidence of this 4th wave staying above this wave 1 high, and then seeing this additional 5th wave to the upside, pushing us up into this 26,953 to this 26,788. So this would be our bullish case here. There isn't a lot to go off of on this. You know, this is just relying on the fact that we continue to hold these lows here. If we do continue to hold these lows, this idea stays alive. But if we start to lose these lows, then effectively we need to be careful of that direct push to the downside idea, where we could either be already within this 5th wave over here, or alternatively we see something like this, and then we look to push down one more time. So we need to be careful until we start to break above, like I said, these highs here, particularly this 28,153 level. We need to be very careful of the more bearish potential here, which could be looking to push us to the downside. Coming in here and having a look at the daily CPR lines, what we can see is that we are currently above our central lines here. Now we can potentially look to push up here towards our R1 line here at this 26,070 level. If we do continue to hold these central lines, other targets to the upside for today would be 26,393, 26,740, and this 27,050 level. Now this would align with the idea of seeing some kind of a corrective move looking to push us up into that typical rejection area. If however we look to follow the bearish count and we look to remain below this high here of this 26,040, we start to lose these central lines. Targets to the downside for today would be 25,411. We have 25,050, 24,740, and this 24,384 as a potential downside targets. Now moving over here onto the weekly pivots. Actually, I'm going to do this way. Now I've actually just condensed both of these into a single chart of something I'm looking out for here. Now what I've got here is the purple is the monthly CPR lines. We have the S1 and the R1 above us. The weekly is the white lines here, S1 and R1 also in this area. Now we can see there's a little bit of an overlap here between the weekly and the monthly. Now we haven't had any interactions with these central CPR lines yet, which is making me think that we could still potentially see price be gravitated up towards these levels, because these tend to act like a magnet for price action when they haven't been tested. So if we do see something like this, we see price actually looking to push back up into some of these levels. The weekly CPR lines are sitting between this 26,735 to this 26,220 level, and then the monthly central lines are sitting between this 27,701 to this 26,527 region. So if we do see price looking to push up here, we could potentially look to find resistance in this area. If we do find that resistance, that would align with the idea of seeing that continuation to the downside. If however we start to see price looking to push up through these levels and finding support, what we could then see is that we could potentially start to rally off this low, and we could then be looking for higher price. But this is going to be important in my opinion here. I want to see how we react. Particularly we have the weekly R1 line, which is also sitting up here towards the top central monthly CPR line here. So if we do see price looking to push up into that zone, possibly we could see a reaction in that area. Now it is always possible here that we could see price just fail to actually reach these CPRs and just start to fall off. If it does start to fall off in a bigger way, I will be looking out for the S1 line here at this 24,821, and then we do have the S1 line here on the monthly towards this 23,990 level. So this could align with actually seeing that continuation down, where this is a corrective move as A, B, and C, like we said, looking for that diagonal pattern. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how we react in this zone. If we do see moves down into these areas, I will be keeping an eye on them, because they also do move into my target box area here, which I do still have a daily and a weekly naked point of control, which is sitting here towards the zone of this 24,977 and this area here, this 24,689 zone. So that would align with actually seeing, one more push down here for that fifth wave. If we do see price looking to push down deeper here, we'll be keeping an eye on this 24,255 level as a potential SR flip. So going to be keeping an eye on those zones. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video. Leave us some feedback down below, and also in the description you will find a link to the Discord. Come check it out. It is free to join. Everyone have a great day. We will see you in the next one. Take care.